Chapter 11. The Earth in Christ Consciousness. We are literally one with the Earth. We live within her atmosphere, which is an integral part of the planet. When we breathe in Mother Earth. Her substance has created every cell of our bodies. We simply borrow our bodies from her for our sojourn on Earth. Jesus, how does a return to the Earth coincide with Christ consciousness?
As source energy incarnate, the Earth is a sacred vessel of conscious expression of the one God. When an individual chooses the embodiment of the Christ consciousness on Earth, he must find some expression for this as part of the Earth system, part of the natural world. Saints and sages have always been closely connected with the earth, the animals, and plants. What a modern embodiment of the Christ consciousness will discover is that there is no separation between oneself and the earth. The earth, as part of the one, is oneself, and she becomes a harmonious and cooperative substrate from which to create. So when one is attempting the impossible, which is to define oneself as separate from the earth, he cuts himself off from his very source of life. This leads to disharmony and ultimately death. The gift that the earth offers is as a teacher and fellow initiate, a teacher of perfect interrelationships and an initiate in the alignment with the source that the earth demonstrates. There is nothing out of alignment with source energy on the earth that is natural. Man-made things of the modern world are not included here. So there is no separation. There can be no journey without the earth.
Our earth is home. We are connected deeply to her. Engaging in some way acknowledges her as our home and is what the Christ within calls for us to do. A closer connection to the earth is perfect for cultivating our sense of unity with all things. Being in nature is healing. It calms our minds and resets us to the vibration our bodies were designed for. The artificial environments we live in, for example, electrical fields resulting from the fixtures, separate us from the earth, as do appliances, computers, and wireless technologies, such as cordless house phones, cell phones, and wireless internet connections. All of these may interfere with the communication of our cells, cell membrane function, and calcium metabolism. They also increase free radical production, creating cellular stress and premature aging, and damaging our sense of well-being and health. Now, too, the entire Earth is covered with cell phone antennas. Add to that our perception that the Earth is just what we walk on every day when we leave our homes rather than an integral part of our consciousness. These issues all combine to create a psychological, emotional, and energetic distance between the natural vibration of the living Earth and us. The Earth is alive and is affected by the toxicity that humanity creates on all levels. I know from experience how much easier it is to see all as one and have a relationship with the natural world when walking through the woods, as opposed to while riding on the subway or spending time in the hubbub of the city. For me, it's a level of stimulus issue. When our five senses receive so much input, it can be hard to remain relaxed and internally quiet enough to hear inner guidance and the earth's whisperings in our lives. In my book, Where the Wisdom Lies, A Message from Nature's Small Creatures, the small creatures of the earth speak about natural time versus artificial time. They say that our choice to follow our artificial clocks over nature's natural time creates a dissonance that is causing the whole Earth system to fall apart. Their point is that natural time and artificial time are irreconcilable rhythms, and that our only choice to save the planet, life, and ourselves is to return to natural time. In Christ consciousness, we know the earth as ourselves, and move within the natural vibration that she is, not foregoing the artificial clock time, but encompassing the slower daily, monthly, and seasonal rhythms of nature into our lives. For example, the winter is a time for quiet regeneration and rest. Spring brings renewal, energy, and growth. Summer is for strengthening, practice, using energy wisely, gathering in groups, travel, and communication. And fall is the time for shedding what is unnecessary and gathering the harvest. Observing and living within these rhythms is one way to bring natural time into your life and cultivate your personal relationship with the earth. Leonid Sharashkin, the English editor of the Ringing Cedars series, shares the roots of Russian words that link the journey of the spirit to the cycles of the seasons, to the care of the soil, and to the true role of humans as creators on earth. According to Sharashkin, the Russian phrase for kingdom of God has origins that mean family homestead inscribed in the natural cycle. Chilovek, Russian for man, means eternal mind or wholeness. Rabota, the word for work, means talking with the sun. Lada, the origin for lady, means goddess of universal love. And Lad means manifestation of universal love. These words are a rich inspiration for a return to a spiritual connection with the earth. No matter where you live, you can still consciously connect with the earth. Start by greeting her each morning as you leave your home, or love her as you step consciously upon her each day. Thank the earth before eating. Gratitude prepares your body to receive the nutrients within the food. Sometimes I thank all the plants and animals that make up my meal before eating, or I say, "Bless this food, the hands that prepared it, the farmers that raised it, the devas that watched over it, and the earth that nurtured it, that it may bring perfect health to these vessels as we walk in the consciousness of the I Am. And may all who walk the earth be so blessed." Relationship with the earth. Our relationship with the earth is both internal and demonstrated by how or where we live. Ask yourself, what is my relationship with the earth? What have I given the earth today? If I were the earth, what would I want from me? Spiritual permaculture, an idea for a new way of living. Jesus highlights how the earth is a teacher of perfect interrelationships. Permaculture is a design system that can be applied to gardens, farms, and communities. It uses natural ecosystems as a model to create beneficial relationships and to provide for human needs. Permaculture systems are guardians of the earth. They are not just sustainable, they are regenerative. Their aim is to strengthen nature's systems. Permaculture, also called forest gardening, works with nature. It doesn't resist it. For example, interplanting edible crops within existing landscapes minimizes maintenance and mimics natural ecosystems. Another permaculture strategy is to create berms to slow the water's flow and passively direct it to fruiting trees. It uses strategies like multiple functions, where each part of the landscape serves more than one purpose. For example, an herb provides its leaves for cooking, a place for beneficial insects to live, and beauty in the garden. It uses redundancy. and problem solving, in which the problem is viewed as the solution, and the waste product of one system meets the needs of another part of the system. Permaculture is a local response to farming systems that have become monolithic, remote from consumers, and that rely on pesticides, chemical fertilizers, large machinery, and fossil fuels. Spiritual or sensitive permaculture takes permaculture one step further and incorporates working with the spirit in all things. This brings healing to the earth at an even deeper level because it adds spiritual healing to the physical healing in the earth systems. The Findhorn Foundation in Scotland and the Perelandra Center for Nature Research in Virginia are two places that actively practice a conscious and interactive relationship with nature. When the plants, soil, microorganisms, and so on are treated as conscious forms, the interconnectedness of life and whole systems is strengthened, creating healing in the earth systems that have been damaged by man's unconscious activities. Spiritual permaculture is an example of bringing Christ consciousness, literally, down to earth, as seeing all as one includes all life forms. The Garden Elf. When I moved to the country, I wanted to create a vegetable garden and work with the energies of the land. So one day I leaned against a tree and opened myself to communicate, as it turned out, with the garden elf. The garden elves, in answer to my question of what their role is, said, "We keep the balance of energies amid the many level of life through harmonizing, redistributing, and controlling how it flows together." They said how grateful they were for the opportunity to work together. You have no idea how wondrous and rare this is. I had a very long conversation with the garden elves that day. They said the first step in working together is to agree that we wish to work with each other and lay down some guidelines so that we know what to expect of each other. Then we can set up our intentions for the end result and allow the energies that are inherent in the intention, but latent, to do their work. We can assist them in birthing. They trained me in how to be in relationship with them, saying, "There is no work to be done without our consultation," and they asked that I greet them as I enter the garden. They explained, "There are many, many beings and levels of life, and it is appropriate to welcome and honor all life that seeks a comfortable place to create and be, much as you do. This sets a tone for congeniality, cooperation, and mutual respect that is critical to a venture such as this." They said I needed to breathe more deeply and ground myself in the earth through my feet. They offered, "This is a basic guide for humans who need a gateway and a cleansing as they venture from the world indoors. You see, there is much disconnection from the earth inside. There is much shallow breathing. The great gift of human life is to bring together in one vessel, the human body, the physical and non-physical. This you can do with grounding and breath." They taught me how to create and suggested that rather than say to them, as I did, "I wish to create a fenced-in area for a new garden," instead I might consider creating it in its physical, visual, emotional, and spiritual effect. To create in this way means to see it in your mind's eye, feel the emotion it creates in you, and sense its spiritual energy. The elves pointed out that the garden's species, structures, and such may be invited in through visioning, their energetic blueprint, which is created that way. You not only create all of these aspects of the garden in your mind's eye and your emotional body, but you also go beyond your own bodies to the place of all creation, a causal plane where manifestation begins. you connect to this level energetically with pictures and feelings and spiritual centeredness. I responded, so to create the garden, you want me to envision how I feel being in it, my joy in looking at it, the ease of maintaining and creating it, the abundant food of highest nutritional value that will come from it, and the fullness of my spirit in the process of its creation and in the resulting garden? Yes, they said, exactly. So I said, I begin with gratitude for this land, all the life that exists here and makes it beautiful and whole. I am grateful for the creation of wholeness here that incorporates nature's whim and perfection. I add species and structures to enhance the whole, bringing greater diversity, color, abundance, and joyful expression. I see flowers, herbs, vegetables, trees, and bushes that are useful for human life, which feed not only the humans here, but the land and its needs as well. I see a place where the land and the earth receive as much as they give. I see joy and ease expressed through the human and energetic co-creators of this place. I feel deep satisfaction in knowing the interconnectedness of all life, and in feeling like this co-created garden is an expression of a new way of being on earth. I see people being attracted to this place, to be healed, to learn these ways, and to share their gifts and creations. I see animals and new structures, barns perhaps. I see people and energies honoring and joyfully present. They responded, you are beginning now. The process has begun. The next step is feeding the creation with further energetic juice from all levels, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and vitally, with physical energy. I then asked them for their vision. They answered, we see a land alive with all forms of life, insect, animal, bird, bee, plant, tree, bush, herb, all of these myriad forms of life, enlivening each other. We see the creation of this joyful, abundant, and boisterous overflowing of life that comes into creation with ease beyond all previous experience. If it is otherwise, it is because you have created it thus. We see a series of beds, raised if you wish, circular in pattern, that radiate outward and honor the four directions, the ancestors of the land, and all life. In honoring the life forms that lead up to the snail, the bee, the chicken, and the apple tree, by connecting to these ancestral foundations of life, we create a solid ground for new creation, design, and life. We see healing herbs in the center, around a Geneisa crystal, an energy-generating form, signifying our joint intention of bringing healing to the center of all life. Then, around the herbs, we see vegetables, signifying the feeding of all life, the full, vibrant expression that is possible here in this Eden, where land and sky are joined as one. Then, beyond the circle, we see trees that bear fruit, rooted in the earth, stable and permanent, and bushes that have berries. They are symbols of the structure and stability that can come when life is whole and fed. They remind that a structure that supports and returns year after year is possible. Outside the fence will be fruits and berries planted solely for the wild creatures, the birds, deer, and rabbits, so that all life is fed and honored, not only man. I was bowled over by their description, and their structure was what I used to create the garden. The garden elves assisted my intention for the garden to be realized, while doing their very real work as part of nature's workforce. In working with these energies of the land, we acknowledge that we are not the only species or consciousness that has an interest in the process or project. An amazing potential exists in this interface of human and nature consciousness. My challenge is remembering to honor my agreements and to follow through at many levels, including practical, social, and energetic. Perhaps you can see how this relationship deepens and enriches the process of life and creation. This method of creation may be used for anything. The following quote from the guides makes more sense in light of the garden elves explaining the depth of life that is part of nature's consciousness. There once was a way of being on earth that honored this oneness, this knowing. The earth herself represented this union of all to the inhabitants here. The earth was the focus and the provider of all abundance, and still is, and she was honored in every moment, in every step, and in every action that the beings of that time took. The frontier of earth healing. Jesus healed people by seeing them as perfect. His highly coherent energy emanation, aligned in his body, mind, spirit, and divinity, overrode the less organized energy condition of the sick, and healing occurred. He didn't focus on their ailments. That would have only made the energy template for sickness stronger. He instead focused upon their innate perfection, creating, with their cooperation, the perfected human form that lay within their DNA. This model for healing can be taken into the realm of earth healing as well. In the Gulf of Mexico and other places that have been polluted, the frontier for cleanup, in addition to the obvious physical cleanup, is energy and people themselves. When people gather remotely or on site, with aligned intentions and the understanding of the power they have simply as human beings to affect the world around them, anything is possible. If groups of people were focused on seeing the perfection innate within the natural world, they would reinforce this perfect template energetically and form the physical reflection of it. By seeing divine perfection within people, places, systems, and water bodies, humans have the capacity to heal. Imagine the result of many Christs working together in this way. I remember that I can ask Jesus about his healings in the Bible, and he says,
"Yes, this is true. Furthermore, the healing occurred on the physical, emotional, and spiritual levels so that the entire being healed, not just the physical structure. For without healing, the energetic template for the broken form, body, the body would revert to its former state. And what would be the point in that? So you see, the energetic creative component is the first and foremost tool for healing the body or the earth. I like your idea of gathering to heal the earth in this way, for it lays at your feet the very structure and substance of your species' survival. If the earth is honored and treated as the source of life and joy in great abundance, so much is possible for humans in the times ahead. However, if she is ignored and devalued, there is little hope for humanity's future. So go forth with courage and claim the earth as your rightful and only home.
Heaven on earth. Stop here and imagine that your corner of the world is heaven on earth. Envision what is there physically. What does it look like? How does it feel? What is its spiritual effect? What might you do to create it? You set it in motion by, as the garden elves said, feeding the creation with further energetic juice from all levels, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, and vitally, with physical energy. We have already begun to create heaven on earth.